Hello everyone, welcome to math class. Today we're going to learn about ratios and proportions. You may well wonder what is a ratio and what is a proportion. Well, you already know what a ratio is and what a proportion is because you usually use it in real life, but I'm going to make you understand that. A ratio is simply a comparison of two quantities, of two numbers. I'll give you an example or many examples. Here I have a set of plain figures. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 squares and 1, 2 circles. Now I want to compare the amount of the squares to the amount of the circles. That's a ratio. Now I will show you how we write ratios. The ratio of the squares to the circles is 1, 2, 3, 4 squares to 2 circles. And this can be written like this: the 4 at the top, because the 4 represents the squares and the 2 represents the circles. So you basically write a ratio like a fraction, but it's not really a fraction, because a fraction is a part of a whole, and this is not a whole. It's two different types of quantities and even shapes that you're comparing, the squares and the circles. Now, what is the ratio of the circles to the squares? You see there are 1, 2 circles. So the ratio of the circles to the squares is 2 circles. I start with a 2 circles, to 4 squares. So 2 is going to be at the top and 4 at the bottom. And this is how you express a ratio. Now, what is a proportion? A proportion is just a comparison of two ratios, or it's an expression of the equality of two ratios. Two ratios can be written in a fractional form as a fraction, just as I showed you that a ratio can be written as a fraction here, and it can be written as a fraction there. Now, I'll show you an example. This is a proportion because in this proportion I have two ratios. I have this is a ratio, and that is also a ratio. Good. I have two ratios, and what do we have in the middle of the two ratios? There's an equal sign. There's this equal sign. There's the equal sign. That's a proportion. A proportion has always an equal sign and two ratios on either side of the equal sign. So that's a proportion. Now, how do you prove if a proportion is really equal or it's really correct or it's proportional? All you need to do here is cross multiply. Remember cross multiplication? You multiply this bottom number times the top number there. So it's 4 times 1 or 4 times 1. And you keep the equal sign in the middle. The equal sign should be always stay in the middle because it belongs in the middle. And then you're going to multiply these two other numbers, 2 and 2. 2 times 2. Let's see if we have the same number on either side of the equal sign. So when you multiply 4 times 1 is equal to 4, and 2 times 2 is equal to 4. So this proportion is correct because when I cross multiply, I have the same numbers on either side of the equal sign. This is what you basically do to prove the correctness of a proportion. So we're going to take a problem. We're going to see how you can use proportions in a problem context, in a word problem context, or in a real life context. So this is so important because we use it every single day when you go shopping and so on. We use ratios and proportions. And so I'll give an example so you understand how you can use it and how you can really solve real problems using the concept of ratios and proportions. Well, here are some two examples in real life conditions or situations. Let's say you get in a shop and then you see the price tag shows you that 12 apples cost $4, 8 peaches cost $2, 5 tomatoes cost $2. So now with the problem, kid comes to the shop and wants to pay $8 on tomatoes. How many tomatoes is he gonna get? Good. We already know that 5 tomatoes is for $2. So what you need to do here is to apply. You need to apply the ratio and the proportion concept. The first thing to do here is to make ratios. We know that the ratio the ratio of tomatoes to the money, to dollars, is 5 to 2. So 5 to 2, that's the ratio. The 5 represents the tomatoes and the 2 represents the dollars, the money. So I have my ratio here. Then I put an equal sign. Let's see here. And it says this should be equal. I need to make a proportion. This should be equal to 8 represent the dollars actually. Since 2 represent the dollars and it's in the bottom, at the bottom of the fraction, I'm gonna put the 8 at the bottom of my second fraction, because 8 and 2 both are dollars. So I'm gonna put the dollars here and the dollars there. Now how many tomatoes? I need to determine how many tomatoes it gets, or it needs to get. Good. So instead of putting a question mark, I can put an X here. What is X? And this is where we do cross multiplication to determine the value of X. So you're gonna multiply 8 times 5. This is gonna give you this. 5 times 8, 5 times 8, and you keep the 2 at the bottom. It's the fraction line, and this is equal to X. Remember, this 2 is at the bottom, and you multiply 5 by 8, and it should normally give you 40. So you have 40 here, and 40 divided by 40 over 2 is equal to X. Remember that the fraction line is a division. So you divide 40 by 2 is equal to 20. So X is equal to 20. Good. So when you spend $8, you're gonna buy actually 20 tomatoes, not 5 tomatoes. This makes sense because when 8 is 4 times 8, 4 times 2, and 20 is 4 times 5. This is proportional. Good job. So let's move on to the second problem. And it so spent $6 on apples. We need to make the ratio of apples to money. What's the ratio of apples to money? It's 12 apples for $4. So I'm gonna put the dollars here at the bottom. Now how much did he spend? He spent $6. I'm gonna put the dollars at the bottom. You need to note that the dollars and the dollars are at the same place at the bottom of the fractions. I didn't put the dollars here at the top and then at the bottom. Then it's all proportion. Money. Apples. Like here I had tomatoes and tomatoes. So how many apples? We don't know. It's a comma. It's a question mark, and I can put an X there. And then let's do cross multiplication to determine the answer. When you do cross multiplication, you will multiply 6 times 12, so it's gonna give you 12 times 6. This 12 times 6. Keep the fraction line, and this 4 stays at the bottom, and this is equal to X. Now you learn how to multiply fractions by simplifying or dividing along the way. So you can simplify by 12 divided by 4 is equal to 3, and 4 divided by 4 is equal to 1. So all you have here is 3 times 6, which is 18, and the answer is 18. So X is equal to 18. So when Sue spends $6 on apples with this price tag, he's going to get 18 apples. So this is a practical example of how you use the proportion and the ratio concept to solve real life problems, like in shopping situations, like in shopping contexts. Good. I'm so happy for this class, and I hope you guys have learned a lot of things. So I'm gonna give you some exercises so you can practice. Remember, when it comes to math, practice is so important when it comes to math. So I want to encourage you to do the practice, and thank you so much for watching. Should you have any difficulty, don't hesitate to contact me so we can have a one-on-one talk on WhatsApp. We can even make video calls. It's important that you guys get the necessary skills that you need during this lockdown conditions. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.